when you are not supervised directly, by your boss, the job at that point is not about just getting it done. It's about getting it done well, and it's about your own integrity. Hey people, what's up? How you doing? Welcome back to my channel, Becca Diaries. Thank you for always supporting your girl. Thank you for having my back. Your girl is grateful. My name is Becca and I film from Kaduna, Nigeria. On this channel, I talk about everything personal development, friendship, and books. Although from time to time, I also hold conversations about projects that I'm working on and sometimes trendy issues that concern humans as a whole. Yes. Anyways, today I want us to talk about something very important, and I have it penned down here, and that is the topic: can you work under little or no supervision? Yes or no? Answer that question right away. Can you work under little or no supervision? You know how you go for an interview and then you're asked by the interviewer,
I can tell from your CV that you've done quite a lot. But most of these things you've done in groups. How are we supposed to know that you can work under little or no supervision? I put it to you. Can you work under little or no supervision? Can you?
When the interviewer asks you that kind of a question, they are really looking for one thing.
Some roles offer very little supervision, especially when it's a work from home or remote opportunity. The interviewer asks if you are an individual who can be productive even when not directly supervised. The goal of your response is to show that you have a history of well-established trust with your past employers. Express that even without direct supervision, you've remained a top performer in your field.
However, for this video, I am putting this out for you to really understand yourself better. So this is basically self-awareness. So relax. Breathe in. Breathe out. Relax. So to help us for that days, I have prepared 5 questions. So when we answer these 5 questions together, we will be able to analyze it afterwards and then have an understanding, come to be on the same page to really know ourselves better. Then we will know whether what we have been doing all along can be really translated, to mean you've been working with little or no supervision, and if you've been acing that well, or you need a little bit of adjustments. I actually wrote out these questions based on my own interaction with my boss, based on what I do right now where I work, and some of the things that I have read and the interactions that I have had with my boss. So this is coming from a place of experience, but of course I always want to hear from you. So when we are done with this, I want you to use the comment section to tell me what other questions we could have used, to tease this out better, or how these have actually helped you. Anyways, before then, there is a story that I would love to put out there, and the story is the famous story of the old carpenter. So the story goes this way: there was an old carpenter who had worked all his life serving his boss, the constructor. So at some point in his life, he is really old and he needs to retire. So he approaches his boss, the constructor, and says, boss, I want to retire. I am done at this point. I really want to go rest. And the constructor, being a kind boss, just looked at him and says, okay, you know what? I want you to do one final project for me before you say goodbye to our work. Just some sort of final project that you can look back on and say, okay, this was the final job I did before I left. So he handed over the money, the costing, everything, handed over to the old carpenter and told him to give him the time frame when he can come check the finished work. So the old carpenter gets to work. He finished in good time and got back to his employer, the contractor. So by the time the contractor came to site, he looked at it, as usual, supervised it, looked at it, the finished work, appreciated it. Then he handed over the keys to the front door and says, well, I know this is not a key, but just assume it's a key. So he handed over the keys to the front door and says, this is your house. This is appreciation for all the years of hard work in this company. Thank you for all of the things that you have done. This is your gift. We are wishing you happy retirement. Okay, the old carpenter is supposed to be happy, right? He didn't pay for this thing. His boss paid him everything that he has spent on this building. But guess what? The old carpenter didn't pay attention to this, because when he was given the project, he felt so overused. He felt, so disturbed. He felt, why will you do this to me? I am telling you that I am retiring and you're giving me one last job, one last stress. Really? So he used inferior materials. He did less scrutiny on the building itself. The whole story is that the building was not what it should have been. If he had known that this building is actually meant for him, he would have done some aesthetically pleasant stuff. He would have checked the standard. He would have used superior materials and all of that. Now, this is the first time that the supervisor, his boss, the contractor, would not directly supervise his job. And this is what he does. Something that was even meant for him. Let's say it was not even meant for him. So this is what he would have done as a final gift before retirement. Just think about it. The point is, when you are not supervised directly, by your boss, the job at that point is not about just getting it done. It's about getting it done well, and it's about your own integrity. And most times it's about meeting expectation and even exceeding expectation. In fact, your true self shows when you are not supervised. So now let's take these 5 questions. There are 2 responses under each question, and you just say whether you're choosing A or B. Just note it down, then we'll talk about it at the end of all the questions. So I'm reading from my phone. The first question says, your boss sent you to a meeting on her behalf. At the meeting, you were told to develop a template. Ordinarily, you are responsible for this, even if your boss had attended the meeting. What will you do about the action point? Your boss sent you to a meeting. At the meeting, you were told to do something, develop a template. Ordinarily, if your boss were attending this herself, it's still your responsibility. But now you attended on behalf of your boss. So what will you do? A, submit the meeting report / action points and mention that you are currently working on the template and will soon submit for review. That's to your boss. B, give your boss feedback about the meeting and await further directives. So which are you going with, A or B? You do you. You do you. So question 2 says, just this morning, you suddenly realized that there is a problem with how people are getting their tasks done. You work in an office and you just realize, you suddenly realize this morning that people are not really taking their jobs seriously. What will you do? A, just look away because you cannot come and kill yourself. After all, you are getting your own job done. B, make a draft plan on an accountability mechanism that can help you and others deliver at your jobs and propose it to your boss or management. Choose A or B. Question 3. You belong to a committee where you send in quarterly reports on your activities. Usually, the secretary of the committee sends out a reminder every last month of the quarter. This current quarter, the secretary didn't send out a reminder. What would you do? A, wait for the reminder as usual. This should buy you more time, B, go ahead with your report compilation and submit as always. A or B, which are you going with? Question 4. Your boss is not on seat when you received a request for a report on one of your activities. This was addressed to your boss, but your boss is not on seat. What will you do? A. Fix the report and find a way to submit it via the proper channels. This means getting vetted by a superior if that's the case. B. Await a prompt from your boss or another superior depending on when they find out. A or B. Question 5. You had planned to visit an orphanage with your friends as part of your CSR, your corporate social responsibility. A day to the event, a new clocking system appeared at work. What will you do? A. Go to work, sign in and leave. B. Go to work, sign in and close as usual, forfeit the event. Or, still under B, ask your boss for approval for a one-day leave. A or B, which are you going with? If your responses followed the pattern A, B, B, A, B, then you are more likely, to work successfully under little or no supervision. See, answering these questions, I know it's something that is very tricky. You will know what answer to choose, right? You will know, whether it is A or B. But that is not the question. The question is, what would you have done if you found yourself in that situation? And you need to analyze yourself faithfully. You need to be faithful to these questions. You need to be faithful to this exercise. Don't choose because it is the correct thing to have chosen. No, choose it because that's what you would have done. And that is when we can say you've really taken this exercise seriously. If you think about it deeply, for you to successfully work under little or no supervision at all, you need to be very proactive, you need to have problem-solving skills, and you need to have initiative, and many other skills. Let's take those questions, from beginning. Let's take the question. Question 1 says, your boss sent you to a meeting, right? And at that meeting, you have a task, which was, of course, given to your boss. The people at the meeting don't know that you are the one that will do it. It's for your boss, for you are representing your boss at the meeting. So, for instance, you can actually just report back to your boss, okay, this is the report from the meeting. We agreed on ABC. You were assigned this, but I'm already working on it. Sometimes you don't even have to be the one working on it. Maybe there's someone else responsible and you know the person responsible. You quickly just reach out. Oh, Mr. Idris, please do this. Oh, Madam Rebecca, please kindly help fix this. And you tell your boss, oh, Madam Rebecca and Madam Idris are already working on it. That's you being proactive. You don't wait for your boss to tell you the same thing, because your boss will most likely tell you the same thing. So your boss will feel relieved. She will be happy. He or she will be happy about whatever you have done, and you make the work, easier. And even you'll be happy at the end of the day, and the job is done. Number 2, just this morning you suddenly realize that there is a problem with how people are getting their tasks done. Of course, you can look the other way and say, see, this thing is not my problem, and of course nobody will arrest you to that. But someone who can successfully work under little or no supervision is someone who has initiative. When you can just look at something and you prefer solution, you just know what to do. So standing up to create an accountability mechanism is the way to go. For me, that's something I could do. Then question 3 says you belong to a committee, and it's required of you as a member of the committee to turn in a report on your activities quarterly. Usually the secretary would remind you, and this time the secretary has forgotten. As someone who is proactive, someone who can who works successfully under little or no supervision, you don't wait for such reminder, for such prompts. You've already written it down. Oh, I'm supposed to submit this so time, I'm supposed to have done this. So whether they remind you or not, just turn it in, do your part. Maybe others will not even remember. By you doing yours, others will remember and do theirs. Even the secretary of the committee who has forgotten at that point would even be reminded by your own action. So it's important to do the right thing, always, at all times. So question 4 says, Your boss is not on seat when you received a request for a report on one of your activities. This was addressed directly to your boss who is not on seat. What will you do? So it's actually addressed to your boss, but you know your boss is not on seat and your boss will not get to see it, and it has a deadline. So you act. But acting doesn't mean that you commit insubordination. It doesn't mean that you cut all of the channels that you're supposed to go through. Still try to do the right thing, going through the right channel, but be proactive, have the initiative to actually take this up and get it done, instead of you losing traction, instead of you losing missing the deadline. So instead of you missing the deadline, just get on board and get the thing done. If you can, at least try. At the end of the day, it's sweeter to say, oh, when you were not on seat, this thing came, I did this, I did that, this is where I am, than saying, oh, this came and because you're not on seat, nothing. Oh no, you know how your boss would even feel. So it's always good to be proactive. And the final question says, there is this new clocking system at work where you had already planned, to go out for a CSR with your friends. Why should you even plan a CSR on a work day? You should choose a weekend. So let's say the convenient day you were given at the orphanage, let's say it is not by your own choice, it's a date you were given at the orphanage and it coincides with a work day and you don't have a choice than to just use that day, then talk to your boss. Just as easy as that, talk to your boss. It keeps you on a better ground, a fairer ground, and it's just okay to do the right thing always. I think I'll just keep repeating that. It's okay to do the right thing always. So ultimately, to be able to work successfully under little or no supervision requires that you're proactive, you have initiative, you have problem solving skills, and all of the related qualities. Again, I don't want us to lose the entire essence of this exercise, of this video. Is for us to know ourselves better. So it's not by knowing the correct answer, it's by knowing ourselves better. And by knowing ourselves better, we will be able to do better. I do hope you have gained one or two things today. If you really enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends, your colleagues, your siblings. Just share it on your WhatsApp status, share it around, let more people see this video. I really do appreciate all of the support I receive on here. Thank you for always supporting your girl. Thank you for all of the support all the time. I know you will share this video. If you have not subscribed, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Till next time, keep being productive.